Once again, the mysterious reading cow from another world, reading bedtime stories of uh, to make you sleep and feel better and not cry. And the thing of the next chapter of the saga of the episode of the legends of the Jews by collected by not written by collected by Louis Ginsburg continues. Enoch, ruler and teacher. After Enoch had lived a long time, secluded from men, he once heard the voice of an angel calling him, Enoch, Enoch, make thyself ready, and leave the house and the secret place wherein thou hast kept thyself hidden, and assume dominion over men, to teach them the ways in which they shall walk, and the deeds which they shall do, in order that they may walk in the ways of God. Enoch left his retreat and betook himself to the haunts of men. He gathered them about him and instructed them in the conduct pleasing to God. He sent messengers all over to announce, Ye who desire to know the ways of God and the righteous conduct, come ye to Enoch. Thereupon a vast concourse of people thronged about him to hear the wisdom he would teach and learn from his mouth what is good and right, whatever that is. Even Even the kings and princes, no less than 130 in number, assembled about him and submitted themselves to his dominion, to be taught and guided by him as he taught and guided all the others. Peace reigned thus over the whole world all the 243 years during which the influence of Enoch prevailed. Prevailed. At the expiration of this period, in the year in which Adam died and was buried with great honors by Seth, Enosh, Enoch, and Methuselah, Enoch resolved to retire again from intercourse with men and devote himself wholly to the service of God. But he withdrew gradually. First, he would spend 3 days in prayer and praise of God, and on the fourth day he would return to his disciples and grant them instruction. Many years passed thus. Then he appeared among them but once a week, later once a month, and finally once a year. The kings, princes, and all the others who were desirous of seeing Enoch and hearkening to his words did not venture to come close to him during the times of his retirement. Such awful majesty sat upon his countenance. They feared for their very life if they but looked at him. They therefore resolved that all men should prefer their request before Enoch on the day he showed himself unto them. The impression made by the teachings of Enoch upon all who heard them was powerful. They prostrated themselves before him and cried, Long live the king! Long live the king! Long live the king! On a certain day, while Enoch was giving his audience to his followers, an angel appeared and made known unto him that God had resolved to install him as king over the angels in heaven, as until then he had reigned over men. He called together all the inhabitants of the earth and addressed them thus: I have been summoned to ascend into heaven, and I know not on what day I shall go thither. Therefore, I will teach you wisdom and righteousness before I go hence. A few days yet Enoch spent among men, and all the time left to him he gave instruction in wisdom, knowledge, God fearing conduct, and piety, and established law and order for the regulation of the affairs of men. Then those gathered near him saw a gigantic steed descend from the skies, and they told Enoch of it, who said, The steed is for me, for the time has come and the day when I leave you never to be seen again. So it was. The steed approached Enoch, and he mounted upon its back, all the time instructing the people, exhorting them, enjoining them to serve God and walk in his ways. 800,000 of the people followed a day's journey after him. But on the second day, Enoch urged his retinue to turn back. Go ye home, lest death overtake you, if you follow me farther. Most of them heeded his words and went back, but a number remained with him for 6 days, though he admonished them daily to return and not bring death down upon themselves. On the 6th day of the journey, he said to those still accompanying him, Go ye home, for on the morrow I shall ascend to heaven, and whoever will then be near me, he will die. Nevertheless, some of his companions remained with him, saying, Whithersoever thou goest, we will go. By the living God, death alone shall part us. On the 7th day, Enoch was carried into the heavens in a fiery chariot, drawn by fiery chargers. The day thereafter, the kings who had turned back in good time sent messengers to inquire into the fate of the men who had refused to separate themselves from Enoch, for they had noted the number of them. They found snow and great hailstones upon the spot whence Enoch had risen. And when they searched beneath, they discovered the bodies of all who had remained behind with Enoch. He alone was not among them. He was on high in heaven. The ascension of Enoch. This was not the first time that Enoch had been in heaven. Once before, while he sojourned among men, he had been permitted to see all there is on earth and in the heavens. On a time when he was sleeping, a great grief came upon his heart, and he wept in his dream, not knowing what the grief meant, nor what would happen to him. And there appeared to him two men, very tall. Their faces shone like the sun, and their eyes were like burning lamps, and the fire came forth from their lips. Their wings were brighter than gold. Bling! Their hands whiter than snow. Woo! They stood at the head of Enoch's bed and called him by his name. He awoke from his sleep and hastened and made obeisance to them and was terrified. And these men said to him, Be of good cheer, Enoch, be not afraid. The everlasting God has sent us to thee, and lo, today thou shalt ascend with us into heaven, and tell thy sons and thy servants, and let none seek thee till the Lord bring thee back to them. Enoch did as he was told, and after he had spoken to his sons and instructed them not to turn aside from God and to keep his judgment, these two men summoned him and took him on their wings and placed him on the clouds, which moved higher and higher till they set him down in the first heaven. Here they showed him the 200 angels who rule the stars in their heavenly service. He saw also the treasures of snow and ice and the clouds of dew. From there they took him to the second heaven, where he saw the fallen angels imprisoned, they who obeyed not the commandments of God and took counsel of their own will. The fallen angels said to Enoch, O man of God, pray for us to the Lord. And he answered, Who am I, a mortal man, that I should pray for angels? Who knows whither I go, or what awaits me? They took him from thence to the third heaven, where they showed him paradise, with all the trees of beautiful colors, and their fruits ripe and luscious, and all kinds of food which they produced, springing up with delightful fragrance. In the midst of paradise he saw the tree of life, in that place which God rests when he comes into paradise. This tree cannot be described for its excellence and sweet fragrance, and it is beautiful more than any created thing, and on all its sides it is like gold and crimson in appearance and transparent as fire, and it covers everything. From its root in the garden there go forth 4 streams which pour out honey, milk, oil, and wine, and they go down to paradise, the paradise of Eden, that lies on the confines between the earthly region of corruptibility and the heavenly region of incorruptibility, and thence they go along the earth. He saw also the 300 angels who keep the garden, and then with never ceasing voices and blessed singing they serve the Lord every day. The angels leading Enoch explained to him that this place is prepared for the sinners. What, this place is prepared for the righteous. Oh, Oh, don't get mix me up there. This place is prepared for the righteous, while the terrible place is prepared for the sinners, is in the northern regions of the third heaven. He saw there all sorts of tortures and impenetrable gloom, and there is no light there, but a gloomy fire is always burning, and all that place has fire on all sides, cold and ice. Thus it burns and freezes, and the angels, terrible and without pity, carry savage weapons, and their torture is unmerciful. The angels took him then to the fourth heaven, and showed him all the comings in and goings forth, and all the rays of light of the sun and the moon. He saw the 15 myriads of angels who go out with the sun and attend him during the day, and the 1,000 angels who attend him by night. Each angel has 6 wings, and they go before the chariot of the sun, while the 100 angels keep the sun warm and light it up. He also saw the wonderful and strange creatures named phoenixes and chalkidri, who attend the chariot of the sun, and go with him, bringing heat and dew. They showed him also the 6 gates in the east of the fourth heaven, by which the sun goes forth, and the 6 gates in the west, where he sets, and also the gates by which the moon goes out, and those by which she enters. In the middle of the fourth heaven he saw an armed host, serving the Lord with cymbals and organs and unceasing voices. In the fifth heaven he saw many hosts of the angels called Grigori. Their appearance was like men, and their size was greater than the size of the giants. Their countenances were withered, and their lips silent. On his question who they were, the angels leading him answered, "These are the Grigori, who with their prince Salamiel rejected the Holy Lord." Enoch then said to the Grigori, "Why wait ye, brethren, and serve ye not before the face of the Lord? And why perform ye not your duties before the face of the Lord, and anger not your Lord to the end?" The Grigori listened to the rebuke, and when the trumpets resounded together with a loud call, they also began to sing with one voice, and their voices went forth before the Lord with sadness and tenderness. In the seventh heaven he saw the 7 bands of archangels who arrange and study the revolutions of the stars, and the changes of the moon, and the revolution of the sun, and superintend the good or evil conditions of the world. And they arrange teachings and instructions, and sweet speaking and singing of all kinds of glorious praise. They hold in subjection all living things, both in heaven and on earth. In the midst of them are 7 phoenixes and 7 cherubim, and the 7 winged creatures singing with one voice. When Enoch reached the seventh heaven and saw all the fiery hosts of great archangels and incorporeal powers and lordships and principalities and powers, he was afraid and trembled with a great terror. Those leading him took hold of him and brought him into the midst of them, and said to him, "Be of good cheer, Enoch, be not afraid." And they showed him the Lord from afar, sitting on his lofty throne, while all the heavenly host, divided in 10 classes, having approached, stood on the 10 steps according to their rank, and made obeisance to the Lord. And so they proceeded to their places in joy and mirth and boundless light, singing songs with low and gentle voices, and gloriously serving him. They leave not nor depart day or night, standing before the face of the Lord, working his will. Cherubim and seraphim standing around his throne, and the 6 winged creatures overshadow all his throne, singing with a soft voice before the face of the Lord. Holy, holy, holy is the Lord of hosts. Heaven and earth are full of his glory. When he had seen of these, the angels leading him said to him, "Enoch, up to this time we were ordered to accompany thee." They departed, and he saw them no more. Enoch remained at the extremity of the seventh heaven in great terror, saying to himself, "Woe is me! What has come upon me?" But then Gabriel came to him and said unto him, Enoch, be not afraid. Stand up and come with me, and stand up before the face of the Lord forever. And Enoch answered, O my Lord, my spirit has departed from me with fear and trembling. Call the men to me who have brought me to the place. Upon them I have relied, and with them I would go before the face of the Lord. And Gabriel hurried him away like a leaf carried off by the wind, and set him before the face of the Lord. Enoch fell down and worshipped the Lord, who said to him, Enoch, be not afraid. Rise up and stand before my face forever. And Michael lifted him up, and at the command of the Lord took his earthly robe from him, and anointed him with the holy oil, and clothed him and when he gazed upon himself, he looked like one of God's glorious ones, and fear and trembling departed from him. God called then one of his archangels, who was more wise than all the others, and wrote down all the doings of the Lord. And he said to him, Bring forth the books from my store place, and give a reed to Enoch, and interpret the books to him. The angel did as he was commanded, and he instructed Enoch 30 days and 30 nights, and his lips never ceased speaking, while Enoch was writing down all the things about heaven and earth, angels and men, and all that is suitable to be instructed in, which we don't have time to mention any of that information here. He also wrote down all about the souls of men, those of which are not born, and the places prepared for them forever. He copied all accurately, and he wrote 366 books. After after he had received all the instructions from the archangel, God revealed unto him great secrets, which even the angels do not know. He told him how out of the lowest darkness the visible and the invisible were created, how he formed heaven, light, water, and earth, and also the fall of Satan and the creation and sin of Adam. He narrated to him and further revealed to him that the duration of the world will be 7,000 years, and the eighth millennium will be a time when there is no computation, no end, neither years nor months nor weeks nor days nor hours. The Lord finished this revelation to Enoch with the words, And now I give thee Samuel and Raguel, who brought thee to me. Go with them upon the earth, and tell thy sons what things I have said to thee, and what thou hast seen from the lowest heaven up to my throne. Give them the works written out to thee, and they shall read them, and shall distribute the books to their children's children, and from generation to generation, and from nation to nation. And I will give thee my messenger Michael for thy writings, and for the writings of thy fathers, Adam, Seth, Enosh, Kenan, Mahalalel, and Jared, thy father. And I shall not require them till the last age, for I have instructed my two angels, Ariuk and Mariuk, whom I have put upon the earth as their guardians, and I have ordered them in time to guard them, that the account of what I shall do in thy family may not be lost in the deluge to come. For on account of the wickedness and iniquity of men, I will bring a deluge upon the earth, and I will destroy all. But I will leave a righteous man of thy race with all his house, who shall act according to my will. From their seed will be raised up a numerous generation, and on the extinction of that family I will show them the books of thy writings and of thy father, and the guardians of them will show them to the men who are true and please me. And they shall tell to another generation, and they, having read them, shall be glorified at last more than before. Enoch was then sent to earth to remain there for 30 days to instruct his sons. But before he left heaven, God sent an angel to him whose appearance was like snow and his hands were like ice. Enoch looked at him and his face was chilled that men might be able to endure the sight of him. The angels who took him to heaven put him upon his bed in the place where his son Methuselah was expecting him by day and by night. Enoch assembled his sons and all his household and instructed them faithfully about all the things he had seen, heard, and written down, and he gave his books to his sons to, to keep them and read them, admonishing them not to conceal the books, but tell them to all desiring to know. When the 30 days had been completed, the, the Lord sent darkness upon the earth, and there was gloom, and it hid the men standing with Enoch. And the angels hasted and took Enoch and carried him to the highest heaven, where the Lord received him and set him before his face, and the darkness departed from the earth. And there was light, and the people saw and did not understand how Enoch was taken. They glorified God. Enoch was born on the 6th day of the month of Siwan, and he was taken to heaven in the same month, Siwan, on the same day and in the same hour when he was born. And Methuselah hasted and all his brethren, the sons of Enoch, and built an altar in the place called Achuzan, whence Enoch was taken up to heaven. The elders and all the people came to the festivity and brought their gifts to the sons of Enoch and made a great festivity, rejoicing and being merry for 3 days, praising God who had given such a sign by means of Enoch, who had found favor with them. The translation of Enoch. The sinfulness of men was the reason why Enoch was translated to heaven. Thus Enoch himself told Rabbi Ishmael. When the generation of the deluge transgressed and spoke to God, saying, Depart from us, for we do not desire to know thy ways, Enoch was carried to heaven to serve there as a witness that God was not a cruel God, in spite of the destruction decreed upon all living beings on earth. When Enoch, under the guidance of the angel Anpiel, was carried from earth to heaven, the holy beings, the Ophanim, the seraphim, the cherubim, all those who move the throne of God, and those ministering spirits whose substance is of consuming fire, they all, at a distance of 650,300,000 parasangs, noticed the presence of a human being, and they exclaimed, Whence the odor of one born of woman? Mm. How comes he into the highest heaven of the fire coruscating angels? But God replied, O my servants and hosts, ye my cherubim, Ophanim, and seraphim, let this not be offense unto you, for all the children of men denied me in my mighty dominion, and they paid homage to the idols, so that I transferred the Shekinah from earth to heaven. But this man, Enoch, is the elect of men. He has more faith, justice, and righteousness than all the rest, and he is the only reward I have derived from the terrestrial world. Before Enoch could be admitted to service near the divine throne, the gates of wisdom were opened unto him, and the gates of understanding and its discernment, of life, peace, and the Shekinah of strength and power, of might, loveliness, and grace, of humility and fear of sin, equipped by God with extraordinary wisdom, sagacity, judgment, knowledge, learning, compassionateness, love, kindness, grace, humility, strength, power, might, splendor, beauty, shapeliness, and all other excellent qualities beyond the endowment of any of the celestial beings. Enoch received besides many thousand blessings from God, and his height and his breadth became equal to the height and the breadth of the world. and 36 wings were attached to his body, to the right and to the left, each as large as the world, and 365,000 eyes were bestowed upon him. Think about it. Each as brilliant as the sun. A magnificent throne was erected for him beside the gates of the seventh celestial palace, and a herald proclaimed throughout the heavens concerning him who was henceforth to be called Metatron in the celestial regions. I have appointed my servant Metatron as prince and chief over all the princes of my realm, with the exception only of the 8 august and exalted princes that bear my name. Whatever angel has a request to prefer to me shall appear before Metatron, and what he will command at my bidding ye must observe and do. For the Prince of Wisdom and Prince of Understanding are at his service, and they will reveal unto him the sciences of the celestials and the terrestrials, the knowledge of the present order of the world, and the knowledge of the future order of the world. Furthermore, I have made him the guardian of the treasures of the palaces in the heaven Arabot, and of the treasures of life that are in the highest heaven. Out of the love he bore Enoch, God arrayed him in a magnificent garment, to which every kind of luminary in existence was attached, and a crown gleaming with 49 jewels, the splendor of which pierced to all parts of the heavens and to the four corners of the earth in the presence of the heavenly family. He set his crown upon the head of Enoch and called it the Little Lord. It bears also the letters by means of which heaven and earth were created, and seas and rivers, mountains and valleys, planets and constellations, lightning and thunder, snow and hail, storm and whirlwind. These, and also all things needed in the world, and the mysteries of creation. Even the princes of the heavens, when they see Metatron, tremble before him and prostrate themselves. His magnificence and majesty, the splendor and beauty radiating from him, overwhelm them. Even the wicked Samael, the greatest of them, even Gabriel, the angel of the fire, Bardiel, the angel of the hail, Ruhael, the angel of the wind, Barkiel, the angel of the lightning, Zamiel, the angel of hurricane, Zachiel, the angel of the storm, Suhiel, the angel of the earthquake, Zaphiel, the angel of the showers, Ramiel, the angel of the thunder, Rashiel, the angel of the whirlwind, Shalgiel, the angel of the snow, Matriel, the angel of the rain, Shamshiel, the angel of the day, Leliel, the angel of the night, Galgliel, the angel of the solar system, Ophaniel, the angel of the wheel of the moon, Kokabiel, the angel of the stars, and Rahiel, the angel of the constellations. When Enoch was transformed into Metatron, his body was turned into a celestial fire. His flesh became flame, his veins fire, his bones glimmering coals. The light of his eyes, heavenly brightness, his eyeballs, torches of fire, his hair, a flaring blaze, all his limbs and organs burning sparks, and his frame a consuming fire. To the right of him sparkled flames of fire. To the left of him burned torches of fire. On all sides he was engirdled by storm and whirlwind and hurricane and thundering. Methuselah. After the translation of Enoch, Methuselah was proclaimed ruler of the earth by all the kings. He walked in the footsteps of his father, teaching truth, knowledge, and fear of God to the children of men all his life, and deviating from the path of rectitude neither to the right nor the left. He delivered the world from thousands of demons. The posterity of Adam, which he had begotten with Lilith, that she devil of she devils. These demons and evil spirits, as often as they encountered a man, had sought to injure and even slay him until Methuselah appeared. Da, 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 ba, da, 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 and supplicated the mercy of God. He spent 3 days in fasting, and then God gave him permission to write the ineffable name upon his sword, wherewith he slew 94 myriads of the demons in a minute, until Agrimas, the firstborn of them, came to him and entreated him to desist, at the same time handing the names of the demons and the imps over to him. And so Methuselah placed their kings in iron fetters, while the remainder fled away and hid themselves in the innermost chambers and recesses of the ocean. And it is on account of the wonderful sword by means of which the demons were killed, that he was called Methuselah. He was so pious a man that he composed 230 parables in praise of God for every word he uttered when he died. The people heard a great commotion in the heavens, and they saw 900 rows of mourners, corresponding to the 900 orders of the Mishnah, which he had studied, and tears flowed from the eyes of the holy beings down upon the spot where he died. Seeing the grief of the celestials, the people on earth also mourned over the demise of Methuselah, and God rewarded them therefor. He added 7 days to the time of grace which he had ordained before bringing destruction upon the earth by a flood of waters. Ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the end of the next chapter of the episode of this section of uh, the Legends of the Jews, compiled by and edited by Louis Ginsberg. Join us again next time for the next astounding and amazing, thrilling chapter 4 of the Legends of the Jews, where we learn about Noah and the Bible and the what it says. And thanks. And until next time, goodbye.